Well, you know who would be happy to hear that? Cam Newton, or was it Sarah Fontenot? All right, because when he
Oh,
was
that's right.
basically what they were, huh?
He's making up for the teen pregnancy drop off.
Not what I didn't mean it like that, because there's a clip going around where he was talking about, or I guess Sarah was trying to get him to agree, and I think he ultimately did, that women lose value with the more children that they had. So you were talking about how the campaign to reduce pregnancies was successful. Well, that's good to know, because at least those ladies, according to Cam Newton, will retain their value. Now, right? I was like, yes. Now, are we going to be honest in this conversation? If not, this could be a quick one and we can just zoom right by it. But do you guys agree that, and I think the way that Sarah positioned it was, there's layers to this, right? So a woman who is not married and has multiple children from different from different men. I think that's like how she was kind of, positioning it, right? And if we're going to be honest, we do know, like, if you were married before, we're not talking about women who were married and had kids and like they're no longer married, husband passed away or they got a divorce. No, we're talking about women most likely who were never married, who have multiple children, for example, outside of wedlock. And then even if it's with multiple dudes or not. So do you agree, can we be honest in this conversation, that women lose value with the more children they have before?
So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say they lose value in a man's mind. Because I'm going to say all men, not all men, because there are some men who find it acceptable and they will date women. But I feel like there are some men who exhibit childlike behavior, who are jealous. And it's like they don't want to date someone with children because they feel like that children will take away some of the attention that they may receive. They may feel like they're not going to be a priority. So they don't want to, date a woman with children. But then I also feel like, because I thought about this situation when I came across this, just to bring it on like a lower level, because someone said to me before, they were like, if it's someone who's like down the block, they lose value. But if it's someone who is like Erykah Badu or whatever, like, she doesn't lose value. And it's only because like Erykah Badu has an abundance and the person who lives down the block, they may work a 9 to 5 and they may not be able to afford to do so. So it also depends on like who you are, the way that people look at you as to if you lose your value or not. But yeah, that was my take on it, because it's like men for the most part feel that children are a woman's responsibility. So it's like the more children you're having, the more responsibility that you have. Whereas a man can walk away from that responsibility. A woman is going to be there. Most women are going to stay there, be there, and raise the child. So that devalues them in a lot of people's minds, in my opinion.
Let's be clear real quick. Erykah Badu is an anomaly. She's an exception to the rule. Let's be clear about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm going to agree with the first part of what Q said and probably disagree with the rest of it. The part where she said it does lower the value, I agree. Here's why. Okay, so first, let me cape a little bit and say, whenever we start using words, I'm sure S&M will agree, to describe human beings and their relationships in terms of value and assets and depreciation, we are reducing it, okay? We're not treating it with the kind of care. These are human beings with feelings, right? These are real people with real stories. All right. Woo,
a bit sarcastic.
That's the best I could do.
You heard the words.
You heard the words, right. If you read the transcript, I nailed it. If multiple children, a man that shies away from that, it does not mean that the man is childish. What it means is the man has done the math, and he has determined that while she may not have lost value, she certainly lost some leverage. How does she use leverage? Because she comes with additional obligations and drains on resources, which then presents opportunity costs that this man did not have minus this woman. Every additional child, whether there's a baby daddy to go with it or not, is an additional drain, for lack of a better word. Yeah, you can say I love the kids. Oh, they're just like my son. I love them, or whatever. I've got steps. We real tight. But without delving too much into the single mom story, allow me to say that when you are blending families, one of the hardest things to do is convince this woman that you love this child that didn't come from you like she loves this child, which may then affect your ability to discipline and rear this child because you have not yet convinced that you love like she loves unless you pay like she pays or pay more than she pays. So you are taking it all on. Now, to be fair, if multiple children lower a woman's value, then consistency should raise a man's value, right? So rocking with the kids he got and taking care of them, that should raise his value. But we don't really do the math equally, right? We don't. Sorry, like Nick would say, it's what it is, where it is, cold world. But the real issue isn't value. The real issue is convenience. Extra children are inconvenient. That's just where it is. And yes, ma'am, if you have multiple kids with multiple daddies, or you got multiple kids before a man runs into you, that can be very inconvenient. How you travel is now changed. How you shop is changed. How you even date is changed. How you manage your household and your finances, all of that has changed. So it's nothing wrong with having a preference, fellas. You don't want to date a single mom. There's a lot of great women out there with kids, okay? And it's not their fault. They ran into some dudes that had better game and just blew their mind. Those women deserve happiness, I'm sure, okay? But if you tried to keep a nigga baby 3 to 4 times, and you still ain't be able to snag one, yes, we're looking at you going, I think there's something wrong here. I'm not going to go there either. These just facts. And I think they try to style it as a hierarchy. Cam was saying something about a hierarchy. I don't think it's a hierarchy. It's just a preference. Some men want women with kids. They want the instant family. They want to be surrounded by kids. Some men don't. Go find you one that wants that. Now, for you women who have multiple kids, convenience is not the same as worth. Your convenience has been lowered. I'm sorry to tell you. But your worth is not. Somebody is still going to value you. All right? It's all good. Because when we weaponize value, when we say this person's value to this person's value, we devalue everybody. And what we're really just talking about is preference. Ain't nothing wrong with preference.
Yeah, Jay, it's funny you said that. Not to be crass, this is in this case, this is like a poor vagina management issue. So now I have to question your judgment. Like, none of these guys want to put a ring on. You let multiple men shoot up the club, and none of them put a ring on. I don't know how you keep getting snookered or tricked out of your woman. That's not a good look for you managing my shit and what I got going on, right? So now the opportunity cost is high, and the convenience level is low, as you pointed out, right? So I'm glad we used the Erykah Badu example, because she's got enough, I guess, value over here to offset the other stuff she's got. So it can be done. You could, I've seen women who have multiple children by multiple men, but they're extremely beautiful and extremely agreeable. So a guy will be like, okay, she's got 3 kids by 3 different dudes. I'll take that on. She's extremely pretty. She's an 8 or a 9, and she's very agreeable, and she does what I say. So, okay, cool. Complete offset. It's a wash. So in that case, yeah, you might be able to pull that off. That's a net. But for a lot of women, that's not the case. You got multiple kids, you're disagreeable, all other kind of, negative personality traits. So to Jay's point, it's just a net loss. So, hey man, it's like that sometimes. But yeah, the value proposition is bad for a lot of guys, and we're not going to sugarcoat that. I'm gonna call a thing a thing. It's just not a good look. And I'm glad, and I got to shout out to Nick, because he did give the disclaimer, but we shouldn't have to, but we do. We're not talking about women who is married and all her kids have matching last names, or she's a widower, or something unfortunate happened. You guys got to stop playing like you don't know what we're talking about. We're not talking about divorcees and widowers. So thank you, Nick, for that PSA.